Hey everyone, you are listening to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. This little banter is about a car ride long and features your hosts, JJ Parker and Melissa Albers. JJ owns a tech company and Melissa has been a coach working with influencers for the last 18 years.
All right, Melissa, so we just ended our recording of our last episode, which is what are you going to attract in 2021?
Yes.
And we love this topic so much.
So much.
We just hit the record button again, and we're just going to keep rolling on this for the next episode because there's so much to talk about when we talk about attraction and attracting things and
manifesting things.
Manifesting what you want in your life. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I love it because as soon as we hit stop, you said, oh, we didn't talk about abundance and we're missing this huge part. And it's so true. Like, because both of us really do have an abundance mindset. Mm-hmm. Just naturally, our personalities have an abundance mindset. And that's a choice. That's not just a natural foregone conclusion. It's a choice.
Yeah. Yep. So what we're talking about here is the idea that we live in a state, in a life, in a universe of abundance, mm-hmm. not in a universe of scarcity.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking about this idea, an example would be a scarcity mindset, which mm-hmm. means, hey, I'm not going to have enough food. I don't have shelter. I'm not going to have enough money. I'm not going to have the right job. I'm not going to have these things that I need.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Which causes people to be extremely maybe competitive, very scared. Fear creeps up when you have a scarcity mindset. Very competitive, right?
Yeah.
I need to take what's mine. I need to take from as whatever I can get because I need to hoard it, right?
Yeah.
I need to keep it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that could be not just physical things. That is a mental state. Like mm-hmm. you could even be hoarding mentally, things that you really hold dear. Like I always say that when we're talking about like this kind of scarcity, like the word that always comes to mind is constriction. Like we're constricting ourselves. We're pinching ourselves off from all that is and all that's available to us because we are holding so tightly to what we do have.
What you have, yep.
And
that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that when you start seeing people feel really unhappy and you see people become mentally unhealthy, a fear creeps in. A lot of times, mm-hmm. I think this scarcity thing, it's related to fear.
Absolutely, it's a fear. I mean, you say that there's the two sponsoring feelings, mm-hmm. right?
Love and fear.
Love and fear, and it comes from the fear side.
Yeah, absolutely. But then there's also this abundance side, and this is, like when you hear people like. Motivational speakers and stuff like that talking about you can have all these things. We're really not talking about that kind of false abundance. It's mm-hmm. like I'm referring more to like the sense of the awareness that you really can have whatever it is that you want, and you will attract more and more of what you already have. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. Well, for me, here's a thing that I do that is in this abundance mindset, and I don't want this to come off bad or like conceited or something, but like around money, like I just really don't worry about money. Like my philosophy mm-hmm. is I'll just get more money. Right. Like,
I do that too.
Like this idea, like if we donate a bunch of money, like we'll just donate a bunch of money to help other people. And what will happen to us is not a fear thing for me. It's not like, oh, we're going to give away all our money. It's like, no, I'm going to give some money away. And then more money will just come.
Right.
right?
Yes, that's how I feel
That's
too.
just how it works.
That's so
And
funny. Do you know
I
that is
don't
so
think
funny?
about
We have
the lack of
never
money. I only think about
getting
like
and having of.
I just have it, and it comes in different ways, and I just don't even worry about it.
Yeah. And this isn't because of any economic or social status. This is a core belief.
Yeah.
Like this is a core belief. This is a treating money like it's a resource, and that resources are plentiful.
Yep.
And that's, of all the years you and I have worked together and had some really deep conversations, we've actually never talked about our relationship with money before.
Yeah, we don't talk about that very often, do we?
Even when we were closing down Coreology and we had lost a lot of money, and both of us had to write big checks.
Big checks.
Big checks. And it was sad, and we were so sad about everything coming to an end. Even though we were there, we never even talked about how are we going to do this? There's not going to be any more. What are we going to do? We'd never, ever even talk like that. Isn't that interesting? And now I think it's because both of us have this exact same core belief, is that whatever resource is important to us, there is an abundance and a flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, flow is a good word.
Yeah.
Is it just... Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to articulate. It's hard to sometimes articulate these feelings, right?
I know, it really is.
With words. I always say that language is a bad, abstraction on your feelings. There's not enough.
Yeah.
We've never created words to explain a lot of the things that happen in the universe. And we're definitely edging on one of them that is hard to explain with words, how we think all this works.
Yeah. And exactly. Well, just like they always say that too, like when you learn a second language, it's the same thing. It's like you can't possibly translate your feelings in a second language, and because the words aren't exact, like they don't even measure that way either, right? So it's very, very difficult. But let me ask you this, let's just talk about from I'd be really interested to hear from you. Let's talk about scarcity for a little bit. Mm-hmm. How do you recognize scarcity in your world? Like whether it be the people that you're around, or when do you notice the energy of scarcity the most?
Let's see. In my, I hear that question. I think about are you asking for when I recognize it in myself or when I recognize it in other people?
Anything. Both. I'm just curious to hear your thinking about it. Yeah.
Well, again, to me, the scarcity mindset, when I see it in other people, it really comes up as fear. It's what if we don't have enough money? And it seems to always be around the words, what if?
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting.
Right? It's what if we lose our house? What if we lose our jobs? What if? Mm-hmm. And to me, that level of worrying, and I wouldn't even call it contingency planning.
Yeah.
Right? It's just straight worrying that you won't have enough. Yeah. And I don't want to downplay that worry because it's real. A lot of people are really worried about that.
Right. That's true.
But as we talk about things like the law of attraction and creating our experience around us, that what if thinking is, to me, it's dangerous thinking.
It's very constricting again. It's very constricting.
Yeah. And and for me personally, it's the kind of thinking that I don't allow myself to turn into a habit.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find myself saying, oh, what if, what if this happens? But then it's there's the what if.
Yeah. And that's when anxiety creeps in.
Thinking pattern right now. And we're going to think about the state of a state that I don't have to be in the what if situation.
Sure.
Right?
So
I don't have to be in a scarcity situation. So I change my thinking patterns.
To feel good. To feel better.
Yeah, in a feeling of having and not a feeling of scared.
Well, I just wanted to ask because we're focusing on the word scarcity and abundance, and we're focusing on money. But I actually think that if we took money off the table and we talked about these two words as energy only, boy,
Yeah.
that becomes really interesting too. Like you can be in the room with people who have a scarcity mindset. And it might not even be straight fear of, it might not even be a straight fear of something so dramatic as the loss of a house or something like that. It could be just a standard pattern of thinking. Like people that have a lot of scarcity mentality oftentimes will be very competitive with coworkers. They will want to have more attention from a boss or from someone of influence in their workplace because they're afraid that that attention that they got will be the only attention that they ever do get.
Yeah.
Or if there's a certain amount of budgetary or there's a certain amount of space available in a constricted office, that there is this sense of scarcity. Like if I don't map out my fences and I don't get as much as possible in this moment, there will never be another moment for me to recover.
Yeah. Well, so to push it farther outside the actual like scarcity of resources or objects or money or things like that, talk about the abundance or the scarcity of feeling loved.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
that's a really interesting.
If you are in abundance mindset when it comes to love, like you'll have that feeling surround you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you think, oh, no one will ever love me, I'm not I'm not the kind of person that people can love. And or you're very or you don't put that out yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a scarce resource that is hard for you to even produce.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that feeling very much.
Yeah, that's such a great that is such a deep thinking pattern. Like thinking about that's really interesting. Because too, like if you think about like younger relationships, like when you have a significant other relationship, if you have a more scarcity mindset, often what that looks like is wanting to be a lot more controlling of the relationships that you have. Again, because there's this big fear that these are the only relationships that I have. I need to get everything that I can in this moment from this relationship because what if it's not there tomorrow? Or and it happens so often. It happens so often without us actually recognizing what that is.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really interesting one, isn't it? Because we all probably had relationships, especially like romantic relationships, where when we were younger, it was like, this is the only thing. This is the only time. This is the only one. Is a very scarce mindset.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe as we mature, we start to understand that, hey, that wasn't the only one. And I'll have other relationships in the future.
Yeah. You can sense scarcity in people a mile away. You can sense when someone is constricted. You can sense when they have that more competitive mindset. You sense when they have that whole actor self that we talk about in the self-awareness journey. That whole armoring up because I'm afraid. I'm afraid that the resources that I have, the relationships I have, the things I have, the people around me, the opportunities for me are very short-lived and I just got lucky. They're not going to come around again. So therefore I need to act very different to keep them and hold on to them and keep my fist very tightly closed around them. And that's that constriction piece again.
Yeah. The other way I like to think about abundance and scarcity is around creativity.
Oh, interesting.
Right, and art.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
tell me more about that.
Well, so we're all creative, right? We're all creating all of the time. Whether you think whether you're going to label yourself as an artist or not,
Yeah.
you are an artist. And scarcity as it applies to art, to me, looks a lot like if you do some work that you really like, you can really easily think like, wow, that was like my best idea ever.
Yes.
I'm never gonna have this kind of idea again.
I've totally
Like
had that. I've had that.
Inspiration struck, and this is my one and only time, and
I've
I
had
better
that.
make the best of it because this is the peak, and I'll
Oh
never
my
have an
gosh.
idea again. Right?
You just actually uncovered one of my scarcity mindsets that I never knew I had. You did. This whole like remodeling project that we did, it turned out absolutely beautifully. I keep walking around thinking, I can't believe this is where I get to live. Like, this is so beautiful. And I'm so glad. And I think to myself, I'm serious when I say this. Oh, I'm so glad that we did this on the main level because I'll never be able to recreate this again. I actually think that way. With it when it comes to creative endeavors like art projects or things that are very visual. So you just busted me on something I didn't even realize.
Oh, good.
Dang it, rats. So go ahead, sorry.
Ask away.
No, I was just going to say, can we like switch gears? Let's talk about abundance.
Yes. Well, that's where I was going to go to. Like, abundance in an abundance mindset in creative endeavors to me means that like your creative well is infinitely deep. Like you can just keep creating and creating and creating. And we had an episode that I think about the creative process a while back, and the fact is some of it resonates, some of it doesn't. But the idea that you're gonna run out of ideas or that your creativity is somehow gonna dry up is not true, or it's a limited resource. It's not. It's infinite. Your creative ability is infinite.
Yes.
And it will never stop.
Yes. Yeah.
Even when you're 101 years old, it'll never stop.
Even just in our conversations starting to talk about abundance, I felt my energy shift to one that felt more expansive. So like when we were talking about scarcity, I felt very constricted and it started to feel heavy. Like everything felt heavy. And but just noticing the energy behind even the discussion of abundance, imagine what it could be if we just started to shift our mindset even again, 5%, 5 degrees to being more open to what is possible for us, how light that feels and how expansive that energy feels inside. It feels really good.
And with, again, that abundance mindset, the openness, you said it, we said it in the last episode, but the openness of the abundance mindset is the key, especially in creative works. It's like you are open to all things that come. They might be unexpected, they might be from left field, you just don't know, but being open to everything that can come and shedding that scarcity mindset of worrying that nothing will come. That's the key. The idea that your inspiration will strike, just be open to it. Just and release and let go the fear that it's not.
Even things that in the moment don't seem favorable are also part of abundance. So like, for example, so I have literally trained my brain this way now. And it took a little while, mostly because I'm hard-headed, not because it's hard.
I like that quote. Not because I'm hard-headed, not because it's hard.
The other quote that I just love that I heard yesterday is, a whole lot of aptitude hidden behind a bad attitude. I had to really retrain and reframe my mind. But for example, like, when abundance is happening, for example, some things happen along the way that we don't feel good about. And a lot of times, if we go to that scarcity mindset, we suddenly think, oh my gosh, it's not going to happen. See, it's failed. I can't do this. It shouldn't have happened. Rather than even everything down to something as simple as timing. Like, I'm supposed to leave to be on time. I need to leave at this time. And all of a sudden, something sidetracks us. Oh my gosh, I'm on empty. My car's on empty. I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to end up being late. And then ending up getting to the gas station. And while you're filling up your pump, you get a call from the person saying, I'm sorry, I can't meet. I hope it wasn't too inconvenient for you. And here you're only a block from home because you had to stop to get gas. Like, it's normally how you could get into a real rut and think, oh, I'm going to, and focus on what seems to be the negative part of the scarcity part of the equation. Actually is, while you are in flow in this abundance mindset, it just carries you. And if you keep going, exactly like you said, don't get hung up on that little stuff that seems
Oh yeah, that's super funny that you say that, because when I reflect on that, that happens to me all the time. Like something that seems to have gone wrong
yes.
Almost always just works out totally fine, or
Yes.
even better
Yeah.
than it would have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's like somebody gave this visual once years ago, and I love it. It's like if you're standing in the corner of a room and your goal that you want is diagonally in the other corner of the room. It would seem that when you're making a plan to get to that goal, it would be a straight shot across that room. But the reality is that you didn't see there were 50 chairs, end tables, and boxes in that room, making your path all sorts of loopy-doopy ways to get to that opposite corner. So it didn't happen in the way that you expected, and yet that goal is still absolutely there for you in full abundance.
Yep. Yeah. Well, as we were talking about what we wanted 2021 to look like and attracting what kind of reality we wanted for 2021,
Yeah.
it just, again, like we said at the beginning, it really struck me that a key part of that is the abundance mindset, is to say, hey, all of these things can and will come for me. Releasing that fear that it won't, and being open to having all that experience.
Yeah, my best friend that lives in the UK, Fiona, she always says, what is for you won't go by you. And I love that. What is for you won't go by you.
What a great phrase.
We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. Our mission is to help people become happier and more effective by gaining insight into their own thoughts and feelings. We'd love your support. First, share this podcast with anyone you think might enjoy it. Second, leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast site. This helps others discover the podcast so we can reach more people. And third, sign up for our newsletter at theselfawarenessjourney.com. This will help us communicate better with you and build our community. Thank you so much for joining us in the Self-Awareness Journey. We'll see you next week.